He won the PFL MMA light heavyweight championship belt and a cool $1 million, defeating a very worthy opponent, Josh Silveira of American Top Team, in the finals of the regular season and playoff format. Cool format, PFL. He trains at Kill Cliff FC via Henry Hoof and Greg Jones and the big, great staff over there in South Florida, Deerfield Beach, not far from ATT, actually. He received high praise from Dana White during his UFC Contender Series opportunity. He's traveled a long and jagged road, a tough road, full of obstacles to become an inspiration and a success. And he did the victory lap to prove it on a motorcycle, traveling the country. It was crazy, right? We'll talk about that. Impa, congratulations. Thank you so much. I want you to first talk about this victory lap motorcycle ride that you took from Washington, D.C. to points wherever.
Yes, so thank you so much for having me on, sir. It means a lot to be here. So I'm super grateful. Thank you for the kind words. So I did a motorcycle ride, partnered with them, collaborated and partnered with Triumph Motorcycles, Triumph America. So it's my favorite bike. I have my first motorcycle I ever owned was a Triumph, or is a Triumph still have it. My motorcycle's name is Dash. When I used to DoorDash with my motorcycle, so coming some extra cool points. Then fast forward, to the fighting on November 24th, coming to victory. On November 25th, Lobos Trek, started. So that's my fight name and my journey. And I love riding motorcycles. I love exploring, overlanding, camping, whatever it may be, traveling on a plane, car, whatever it may be, on a boat. But this time I was on a motorcycle. And the next day I did a 12-day trip. I did DC, left the fights. The next day I left from Falls Church, Virginia, to Lovettsville, Virginia. They started in Dulles, Virginia, Falls Church, Lovettsville, Virginia, through DC, back down to Richmond, Virginia to Virginia Beach. Met a really awesome guy who was in Navy SEALs, Admiral Crayland. He was there for the SEALs for 37 years, so we did an interview with him. So I'm looking forward to releasing that. Made it down to Charlotte, North Carolina, through the Durham, Raleigh area. And then I did a, where'd I go? Sorry, the trip blends together. Then I went from Charlotte through the Asheville Mountains of North Carolina, through those mountains to Blue Ridge, went into Knoxville, Tennessee, saw my brother. He's a basketball coach at the University of Tennessee. I've been seeing my family in Charlotte, saw some friends, rode down to Chattanooga, Tennessee to Saudi Daisy, Tennessee, which is right outside of it. Then took off in the night after meeting some family and friends and people part of the media team. Went from there to Atlanta, Georgia the night. Woke up in the morning, rode to Roswell, Georgia, dropped the motorcycle off, went back down to Atlanta, went to the Triumph headquarters, did a podcast, and got to see the Triumph America headquarters. And then I took off and flew to Ireland that next day. So technically, it's my first 24 hours back in Florida since my fight. So since November 19th. So it's been a trip, it's been a journey, but that's it so far. And I saw some beautiful, beautiful sights along the way, and plan to do a lot more with motorcycles, plan to do a lot more with what I love. So I'm very, very excited, and thank you to Triumph for happening that.
What is so cool too about that, when you're riding a motorcycle, I'm not a motorcycle rider. I'm not a motorcycle, someone has a motorcycle, but when you're riding the motorcycle, it's just you in the open air. You're seeing everything and all. Is that sort of also just like a relaxing for you to do something like that?
Yes, sir. It's a way for me to decompress and process, and then start making new plans and reflect on the fight, reflect on my life, reflect on everything going on. And I really enjoy being on a motorcycle. Something I've been connected to, and I would love to do so much more with motorcycles in general. I mean, there's a party coming up down in Miami called the British Invasion. Remember when the bands came to the United States, all the British bands from back in the day in the 60s or 70s. So
Beatles, Rolling Stones, etc.
Exactly. So they're doing the British Invasion, but it's a motorcycle tour. It'll be giving out, they'll be, sharing new bikes, having parties, launch of the bikes and all that. So I'll actually be in Miami helping be a part of that with Triumph come, end of January. So they were nice enough to invite me there. But it's really cool. I'm really living my dream. I say I'm walking and living in answered prayers and, thriving it. So yeah, it's my time. When I can do anything with motorcycles, I'm happy. When I can help build and earn and create and grow content. So I can actually start a YouTube channel that's really more about my journey and my trek and everything. And it's going to be all about motorcycles. It'll be all about, you name it. you name it, journey and just committing to your adventure is what I say. Commit to your adventure. So I'm very, very grateful that Triumph got on board with that, that they supported me in it already. So stay tuned for a lot more.
Triumph, excellent. I'm wondering too, are you an old school motorcycle guy, Indian motorcycles and going way back, or is it more now, the motorcycles now?
Well, so Triumph is one of the oldest brands in the world, so definitely into the vintage. Indian's beautiful too, and all these other brands. You know, Triumph's my favorite. They have so much history with Island Man from the 20s and 30s. Like, they have some of the coolest old school looking bikes. I mean, I was watching a documentary the other day about them, talking about bikes from the 40s and seeing some of the most iconic bikes that were made an impact on the motorcycle community in the world. They set the standard for a long time.
Yeah, there's a show, American Pickers, and one of the guys on that show loves motorcycles, and that's where I learned anything about motorcycles, watching that show. When you come and find old ones and try to restore them and all. It's really cool.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, they're and I actually worked at a motorcycle shop, like at a more so an internship. My friend Jesse owns Hex Moto in Boynton Beach, Florida, and he works on vintage BMWs, vintage bikes, Triumphs, Harley, you name it. And I got to help him like take apart some engines and be my place to get away. So I definitely feel you there.
Now, you said you went to Ireland, yes?
Yes, sir.
Did you do any motorcycle bike riding there? Do they even do that over there?
They definitely do. That's one of the most beautiful places to ride. I'm going to go back and do the Wild Atlantic Way, which goes all around Ireland. But when I was there, I didn't get an opportunity to, with like logistics. But it was still beautiful. I went to the PFL Europe finals. I was able to put the belt around the PFL European light heavyweight champion, which is nice. And then I did then I explored. I went like 30 minutes outside the city. I was going to go to Clifton Moore, but we had to wake up really early. The crew didn't want to do it. So I was like, I had to go 30 minutes out. But we found this beautiful place called House. Had breakfast together. We're on the mountains. Probably could have died. It was so windy, but it was nice. And it was just such a great, great time.
Wow, you mentioned PFL Europe too. And the PFL's doing so much. They purchased Bellator MMA. Your good friend, Bellator MMA champ, Jason ass-kicking machine Jackson, was in your corner for your big championship win. And he's a Bellator champion, and he trains at Kill Cliff FC as well. Just a lot of things going on. When you were celebrating right after the victory, and they gave you that humongous check and the title belt, and you had family and other people in the ring with you, what was that like for you to have them all there with you?
Yeah, for me, it meant a lot. It was one of those moments from I'm inspired, right? I'm inspired to do more. I'm ready to fight again, 2024. So when I see them, it's like, okay, I got you. Now I have more work to do, right? And, I'm grateful for my parents, the sacrifices they made, my sister being there, friends and family who are there, teammates like Jason and Delano who helped me get here, my trainers, I had Nick Lentz, Deer, Navarro, Greg Jones in my corner, and I got to represent Kill Cliff FC, you represent DK Fitness, like all that I feel is just what I feel in there. I'd be grateful to be part of the PFL too, so it's like I'm in a place where I'm doing what I love. I have my first world title of many, right? So my goal is to have, to fight the next 12 to 15 years, get 12, 15 more plus titles, multiple weight classes. So there's 20, right? 25, God willing, whatever he gives me, but I'm going to go fight.
Family and friends, and you're starting to talk about that. And Greg Jones and Nick Lenz, all the ones that were helping. So
yeah, when I see everybody in the cage, it's like it meant a lot to me, right? It's that inspiring and motivating and like challenging my discipline factor, right? Where I need to make the most out of my life. It wasn't, oh, okay, we can relax now. I'm happy. I'm grateful. All these people helped me get here. My sister, my parents, family there. When I look back on it, I'm like, even in that moment, I was okay, I want to get better. There are things I need to get better at. And having all my training partners like Jason Jackson and Delano Taylor, and like I said, my trainers like Dieter Lentz, Nick Lentz, and Dieter Navarro, Nick Lentz, and Greg Jones, like my heart is filled with joy because I'm like, man, thank you so much for investing and believing in me. At the same time, too, I'm like, I have more work to do.
You mentioned one of them is Greg Jones, and what a tremendous amateur wrestler. Just incredible what he's been able to do. Very humble person as well. So was that with the coaches that were there? Because I'm curious, because American Top Team and Kill Cliff FC are so close to each other. One's in Coconut Creek, one's in Deerfield Beach.
Right.
Did you look at maybe going to ATT, but decided to go Kill Cliff FC, or you already knew you were going to go to Kill Cliff FC, which I believe was Hard Knocks 365, then Sanford MMA, and then Kill Cliff FC?
Yeah, so I never went to ATT. When I first moved from North Carolina to train in Florida, I asked my former coach up there about it, and he told me that he recommended me to go to Sanford at the time, which now became Kill Cliff. That's when I started. I moved here December 3rd, 2020, and I started training here. So, no, ATT was never really an option for me. That's not even like I considered it if I was welcome, but I never reached out. I'm not saying I wouldn't have been welcomed either. I'm quite sure I probably would have been. I found my home at Kill Cliff, and the cool thing about Kill Cliff is that I reached out and knew some guys here like Luke and other guys, so I figured it'd be the best place for me to be, and here I am.
It's all worked out for you. PFL
Sure.
MMA champion, $100 million winner, title belt. It's all worked out for you. And it's curious because in the finals, much respect between you and Josh Silveira of ATT and all leading up to the fight and then after the fight. And I'm just curious. I know you were busy and you had a lot to do, media and family and friends and everything. Did you and Josh get to talk afterwards at all or no?
Yeah, we did. Briefly, Josh came up to me a couple of times. We kept bumping into each other, and he was very, very respectful. Said he was very happy that I was his opponent. His dad was super respectful of his team. I think it was his girlfriend, fiance, or wife. I'm not too sure whether. Well, I don't know her well, but I just saw he was with his partner, right? And they were just so respectful, so loving, and humble. Nothing negative to say, and I'm very grateful, very, very grateful for that.
Yeah, because it's interesting because obviously his father Conan and what he's meant and done for MMA as far as action and competing, and then after is tremendous too. They have a lot of respect for MMA. Sometimes you see people trash talking things like that, but you and also them, it just seemed like, hey, let's get out there and fight and let the best man win.
Yeah, I was talking to Coach Jones about that today. How for some reason people decide to take the direction of MMA, putting people down and saying some crazy things about their family and friends, and it's not who I am. It's not who God's called me to be. My faith is most important. So it's not one of the things that's like ever. I could talk trash with my teammates and brothers for fun, like guys stuff, but never would I ever put somebody down disrespectfully. Like, fighting for me is different than that. So to me, it's a sign of weakness in the spirit more so than just the mind and the body.
You got to win the fight inside, not with the mouth. You got to win the fight with what you're able to do. So, but I understand it's building up the fight too and trying to get fans into it and all. But I see a great fight. I'm curious, in that championship fight, did it go as you expected it might go?
Yeah, so I expected a finish. So that's what I wanted, but I was working on. But I knew he dominated the fight. I knew he dominated the battle. That was my focus, and that's what I was committed to doing, was dominating and claiming a victory. So that was a. And there's also still so much for me to learn. I knew that I always have much to learn in all that I do. But we said we can fight 25 minutes easy. So it was never something that I was going to be just slack off on. I always knew I was prepared, and I'm glad we did it.
You were very prepared because even the commentators were mentioning about your conditioning, and they were even saying you trained to fight 15 rounds rather than 5 rounds.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Credit to my trainers and God and my family. There are a lot of things that get me going, and I love to train over the fight, and you see how it came together on the 24th.
How would you like to impact outside of the cage now that you are PFL champion, that you are more recognizable now? What are you planning? Are you planning to do some things just to, whether it's help the community or other things like that, try to use your star power for positivity? You mentioned religion too, so I see you're a very religious person. I'm just curious.
Appreciate it. Yeah, no, for me, my faith is most important. Wherever God calls me to do, I want to help. I would like to. My parents are from Congo in Central Africa, so I'd like to do some projects back there. When the school year starts, I've been thinking about how I can set it up, and I talked to Joanna, I talked to my business manager, but what's the best way I can do to help kids get some school backpacks and school supplies, and especially teachers too. My dad was an engineer for a while, but then he started teaching, and you see how teachers need their supplies in a lot of schools. So maybe supporting some schools or local school in my community, and some other areas that maybe, or even an area that's not doing too well, and helping them get the school supplies they need for the year or throughout the year, to be pretty cool. My mom's a nurse, so I like to go to. I went to the hospital and then again I got her and some of the nurses' food already, but I like to, especially where kids are, especially during the holidays, like seeing how we can like do something. Maybe the kids get like a stuffed animal for the holidays, or the New Year, or even just a gift on the right day. Whenever we can organize and do it right, because I always believe if you're gonna do something, don't just do it to do it, but do it right. So I want to make sure that I can consistently do that through, my company, Impa's Refinery. We train people, do it through me as a fighter, do it through Chi Lobos Trek, however it may be. I mean, even like on these rides, these trips would be fun to meet up and help people. But I'm working on it right now. I just want to make sure I do it right, and definitely going to continue to do it. My mom told me this: you can become a champion in anything you do. When I play football, you can go to the NFL, but if you don't use it to help people, she won't be as proud. So that was always my focus for me, and I'm grateful I'm in that position now.
Hey, you mentioned something I know too. How cool would it be, with if possible, with Triumph, to do like a toy drive where you deliver the toys? Maybe you can be included on a motorcycle, just Santa hats and doing something like that. I mean, there are many things that
That's
can
a
be
great
done.
point. I like that idea. I like that. That's a great.
It's really, that would be really cool and get everybody together. I always found the motorcycle community, because it's big down in South Florida. It's always been very cool and helpful and all. I don't know if you're involved with any motorcycle clubs in South Florida.
For sure. Sorry, I have to love this room. I didn't know they had a meeting. Sorry. The motorcycle culture in Florida is huge. The community that's around here is super supportive. And I have some friends who actually had some bike nights, and maybe like local motorcycle shops that my friends are, and I would love to be a part of it all. So but to me that's what it's about. Like how can you help build other people up and help them do better. So sorry. So I'm very, very, very grateful,
Well, Impa, I'm also curious the fact that you have this some of your tough times to get to where you're at, because the inspirational part of it and all. For you, what have you learned about yourself during those times, and what were some of those times for you?
So for me, when it comes to like tough times, I know people do like I lived in the car, some people in the farm. It was like the more challenging part was just not having to fight, right? But then realizing that the thing that I was called to do was more challenging to to get scheduled. But what helped me through that, I talk to my pastor a lot. I have some really good people in my community and people around me that I can lean on. And guys like Jason Jackson, we talk a lot. He's like, hey man, you just stay the course, keep doing what you're doing, training and working, and eventually you'll get to where you need to go. So I always focused on my faith. And I realized, sometimes the situations we go through too, it's because we get ourselves in those own situations. And my life was in a weird spot. Like things were spiraling. I had to work on it. But they say rock bottom is good because it's like the only way you can go is up, right? And I just kind of looked at it that way. I looked at it like, I said, you know what? I was laughing at my friend yesterday. It's like, hey, everything works out how it's supposed to. Everything works out. And because, they say all you have is your faith. I'm like, shoot, if that's the only thing I have left, I had no money, I had nothing else, but I have my faith. So I knew it would work out. And that was my main focus when I went through anything. So I'm very, very grateful for what God's done in my life. Grateful for the strength He's been able to give me. Grateful for the parents that raised me. I just always had a reason to like why I was going to do it all. And it was never just to be about me or making the money for myself, but to help uplift those around me, help build greater source of income for the future, greater value. But I knew that it would take some time, and that's where we are today.
And I'm curious, Impa, even during those tough times, now you're seeing the fruits of your labor, which is amazing. And you mentioned how religion has been a big part of that, obviously, and your family. But I'm curious, was there a point where you thought, I'm not going to do the fighting, I'm going to try something else?
No, sir. There's never a time for that. I always knew it was my calling, and I knew that it's not a matter of if, it was a matter of when. And I always believed I would be a champion. I always believed that I would, focus on it. So when I got knocked to my buckley, I said, hey, play that highlight as much as you want. I'll be a champion one day, play that highlight too. And that when I was in the car, when everything was going on, I was like, just keep the faith. Keep working, getting better. I never left the gym. I didn't skip days. I would do extra sessions, and I knew that eventually would pay off, and I know the best is yet to come.
And did you also find out who your friends really are? I always say everyone wants to be around a champion, but it's really when you're at your down points that you find out who your friends really are.
That's a great point. Yes, sir, I did. I mean, I've definitely found out who's in my life for for the right reasons and who's not supposed to be in my life. And I've taken an audit of my life and people, and it's not a shot at anybody. It's more so just like I've decided to move forward. I've decided to be the best version of myself, and sometimes people don't go with you in that direction. But I'm grateful for everything and the good moments. But I always says never forget the good you have in somebody, even if you don't talk to them anymore.
And Impa, another thing is you can only control what you can control. You can't worry about everything outside, and everything is all. And you seem like you're doing that now. You're in a good place now. Are you religious in a sense? Do you have a home church, or no, not to that degree?
I do. I'm faith driven for sure. And my faith, I go to Journey Church in Lake Worth, Florida. So it's Pastor Scott Bowe, Pastor Josh Renee, and so super, super grateful.
Do they follow the PFL?
They do. PFL actually came in. PFL came in and filmed actually one of my services. So I appreciate you. So they've been watching all my fights.
Okay, Impa, I'm going to wrap this up. I thank you so much for your time, but I have to ask you. Okay, so WWE SmackDown is coming to Miami in late January. Is there a good chance that you and Jason Jackson are going to be there?
Oh, man, I've asked Jason, but I bet you Jason would definitely want to go. I've never been to a WWE show. I actually believe I'm going to a AEW show at the end of the year in Long Island, New York. So it'll be my first wrestling experience. We'll see how it goes, and we're going to start doing some more of them.
There he is, the champion. Impa, thank you so much for the time. All the best to you.
I appreciate you. God bless you. Thanks for having me on.